Oh, there's Dr. Pettit.
I answer better these days to Bill, but
I just want it on record.
yeah.
Good to see you, Bill.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Chip. And I want to echo Keith and Rita and everyone who's spoken, just the gratitude. I certainly feel to Sid, but I feel incredible gratitude to you and Jane and Jan and Elsie and Tommy, and that you know kind of filled up right now. This is the weekend where I, as a child for many, many years, always went to a thing called the Drake Relays. And the team that wins the relay doesn't necessarily have the fastest runners, but they really don't break stride in handing off the baton. And I think that the way that you guys took the baton from Sid with the grace and ease and beauty that you did is has been a gift to all of us for these years, and I'm filled with gratitude. Kind of like Keith, I know that I could wander on for a long time, but I'm going to try to just say a couple of things. That the idea that nobody is ever broken and nothing is lacking, that as I sat in front of Sid on April Fool's Day, 1983, a couple of months after meeting George and hearing about this welder from Salt Spring who had this epiphany, and with 26 and a half years of formal education, but also in psychiatry for nearly 10 years, but also with 20-year history of depression. And having been helped by 6 very good people and very loving people who were psychiatrists that I saw that helped me when I was wobbly and stumbling, keep on my feet and never have to stop my education and never have to stop my journey in work. But on that day, I realized that as beautiful as people as they were, that this quiet speaking man sitting in his chair knew 1,000 times more than they did. And that's putting a number on something that's infinite. It relieved within 20 or 30 minutes, it relieved a burden of 300 pounds off my chest. And I felt a hope awakened. And I think that's one of the things that always, I remember Sid saying, and then later Roger, really, he heard that resistance 100% of the time is lack of hope. That's all it is. It's lack of hope. Because once hope gets awakened, resistance, it's gone. It disappears. I felt that day. I knew that I'd been creating my depression for 20 years, metaphorically, by doing this 6 to 9 hours a day. Now, if I would have been doing it 12 to 15 hours a day, I might have had a psychotic break because I might have created such a painful world that I had to go to another one or a full-blown mania. For people to start to see that all these diagnoses that we have are really where a person is in their understanding, not who a person is. It has nothing to do, as people have said before me so clearly. And about a year ago, there was a study in the American Journal of Psychiatry where 2,084 American psychiatrists filled out a well-being and burnout scale. And 78% of the American psychiatrists that filled it out met criteria for burnout. These are beautiful people. They're not bad people. They're beautiful people who are in this profession. Yes, because like me, they wanted to heal them, find healing for themselves, but they wanted to be healers. And yet the very people that people are going to in the present paradigm are themselves struggling to keep from drowning. The hope that this brings. I had one, as I've heard each person say, Chip, and it started with you, how humbling this is, that you're grateful and humble at the same time. You're grateful for what you've seen, and you're humbled by how little you've seen. Because as Sid said, there's an infinite number of doors of understanding. And I always kid that, and I looked in my math book, just check on that, and it's a really big number. Really big number. And recently I was moved because of that article and the incredible burnout in physicians and people leaving physicians and nursing and medical practice. I was inspired to do two courses. One was based on the Enlightened Gardener, and the other one was based on called The Hope for the Helpers. And the second one was called Thriving Together. And speaking of humility, as I opened the Enlightened Gardener for, I think, the 17th time, I was finally slowed down enough that to my left of the conference in England, I saw this page, which I had never seen in 20 years. This was published in 2001, a note to the reader. I suppose I should be embarrassed, Chip. I never saw a note to the reader in 20 years and 17 readings of this freaking book. This book, great book, I'm sorry. So I thought, well, maybe before I start this course, I should read the author's note to the reader. In this simple book, the author endeavors to explain in his own unique way the connection between our spiritual nature and our psychological nature. I love it when Sid said, people you say to, I'd listen to you, Sid, if you didn't make it so simple. And Sid, with his wonderful sense of humor, would say, oh, you'd like me to try to make it a little more complicated? It's hard because it's really simple. It's about understanding what's behind life, what people in the past have called many names. A lot of times they've used the word God. But he didn't say, he said, I saw what people call God is. Seen what life is, and I've seen how the two are connected. This is not a religion. It has no dogma, it has no rituals. It is a theology. It's pointing to what's behind life is pure love and understanding. And that's our default setting. And that's revolutionary. And that's the connection between the spiritual. I love Leonard Cohen's song called The Anthem, where his chorus is, everything has a crack in it. That's how the light gets in. But I went to bed with that one night and I woke up the next morning, and to echo what you said earlier, Chip, everything has a crack in it. That's how the light gets out. Because the light is inside of us. It's always there. It's what we're made of.
For sure.
It's what we're made of. I love that psychology really originally was a psychologist was one who studies the soul, one who studies the spirit, the soul, that connection to the divine. And a psychiatrist, my mischievousness that got me spanked a few times as a child, even when I was teaching the residents psychopharmacology at West Virginia University, I put up psychiatrist and I divided it up into 3 groups. And I said, do you guys know the Greek roots of psychiatrist? And they said, no. My residents, psychiatry residents, I said, ist means one who. Ist is one who. Atria is the Greek word for chooses. And psyche is the right medicine. So a psychiatrist is one who chooses the right medicine. And they all said, really? And I said, no. The real root is one who heals or facilitates the healing of the soul. Wow. 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 And that's what Sid said. He said it's going to change psychiatry from and psychology from mental illness fields to its true nature of healing the soul, of bringing people back to what they're made of, what they're inside. And that allowed me, and I won't go the story, but that allowed me within 6 months after I had said to have a man sitting in a state hospital 47 years start laughing hysterically for 10 minutes. When he finally stopped laughing, me quietly saying, Herb, can you tell me what was so funny? And this 67-year-old man who'd been in the state hospital for 47 years, maybe a couple of times they tried to get him out. He said, yeah, doc, he said, while you were talking, I suddenly realized that I've been making myself crazy with my own thinking for 47 years. And he saw something, Chip, that I did not see. If I am a good teacher, and some say I am, it's because I've been such a slow learner. I've learned half a centimeter at a time. And this man who'd been in the state hospital, who was labeled as severely mentally ill and having a brain disease, said to me, I see that I've been making myself crazy for 47 years with my own thinking. And he said, I had hoped that I could learn to stop doing this since I saw I was doing it. But Herb said, and I don't have to do it anymore.
That's amazing, Bill.
And I had a 3-year follow-up. He was out of the hospital, no medicines, had a girlfriend, was living in an apartment down at the senior center, dancing, going to movies, playing cards every day. I'll stop there, but I'm filled with gratitude, and I'm glad to be part of this today.
Thanks so much, Bill. That's a beautiful story. Oh my God. And how many thousands of stories are out there now just like that? That's what's amazing to me, Thank you so much, Bill.
Every category that people say, yeah, but what about borderline personality? What about I've got OCD? No. It's where you are. It's how wisdom is trying to wake you up. It's a universal mind. You don't shoot out the alarm in a theater when the fire alarm goes off.
Yeah.
You're grateful something is trying to save your ass. Pardon me. I'll stop before I say something bad and get my mouth washed out.
Oh, we can edit you out. No problem.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you, Bill. That was really great. Really great. And we'll have to move on to the next break, but there are other people I would like to hear from sometime during the next day and a half or whatever. That was really wonderful. And for everybody that spoke, I'm going to assume, unless you tell me differently, that we have permission to put together a string of what you've said in a recording for the school. So thank you so much. And if anybody doesn't want what they've said, just let me know and we'll take care of that. But it is time for a break. So let's see, it is 11. That's about when I scheduled to be finished. That's okay. So we'll come back at 11:15, and we have a special speaker at 11:15.
Hmm.
Somebody that I think the world of, and who's taught me just so much in this life, and that's my beautiful wife Jan. And I'm going to be sitting out the side listening, and that's really cool. I'm really looking forward to it. So we'll see you all at 11:15, and thanks so much to everybody who spoke up. Much appreciated.